The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, before we get started today, just a couple technology updates. As you're watching this, you actually should see a live video where we're doing a little differently. It's almost like we have a little TV show going on today, so hopefully you can see a live video. If you can't, there might be in the small left-hand corner, there might be a little pane, a couple lines that you can adjust the size of the video. If you want to see more of us or less of us, we won't take offense to that. And then we're going to also open it up for Q&A at the end of the session. So we're going to give it a little bit of time, and then we're going to open it up for any questions you have, and you're going to have to raise your hand. Last point regarding technology today. You really want to dial in via phone, especially if you want to participate in that Q&A session. You'll see an option for telephone and mic and speakers. You're going to want to opt for telephone and then dial in. If you need to turn off your computer speakers right now and do that, it might be a good idea to do so.
But again, you should see video and our PowerPoint today. And if you don't, it is more than likely your firm preventing you from watching any kind of streaming video. So bear with us on that, as many of the firms are trying to figure out a way to allow this kind of thing to happen. So,
yeah, but hopefully you can, because that would add a really cool dimension today. So let's get into it.
Yeah, I'm Stephen Boswell, the Chief Operating Officer here at the Oxley Institute and author of Best Practices of Elite Advisors.
And I'm Kevin Nichols, Director of Coaching and author of the Indispensable LinkedIn Sales Guide.
So today, this was an impromptu session that we put together very simply because it's been on our mind quite a bit around here as we talk with advisors and their needs to engage the next generation. And so we thought, why not? Let's throw one together and see what happens here.
Yeah, this is a huge issue in the financial services industry. We all know that, right? We know the percentage that go to another advisor after the death of a family member. Right?
Sure. And just with all of our training, we try to make this super practical so you can go out and actually do something with it. So we're not going to talk in a lot of theory about what's different with millennials or any of our favorite topics around generational selling. This one's going to be very practical. How do you go next level with your clients, children, or younger folks in the community in general? By young, we don't mean 21. Most of your targeted clients are either millennials or Gen X, somewhere in their 30s or 40s. So we're going to talk about that market today. And the why behind this is quite simply, we've seen some great success stories around this.
Absolutely.
And there's so many more to come. We've worked with advisors who have catapulted themselves to being top 10 in their firm, and you ask them how they did it, they say it's in managing family connections. They don't work with the individual, the parent. It is kids, grandkids, it's cousins, it's aunts and uncles, it's brothers and sisters, and they work that family tree. And we're going to touch on that here today.
And like Stephen said, we're going to give you specific ideas today. So it's not just a bunch of theory. We're going to leave with specific actionable items. So hope you enjoy it.
Here's a couple motivators on this, because this is from our January of this year research. 51% of the affluent believe their kids will have $1 million or more in investable assets. That's pretty remarkable.
How do we define affluent in this case, Stephen? Do you recall?
In this case, it was anybody who had over $500,000 in investable assets.
Okay.
So some of these people didn't have $1 million themselves, yet they thought their kids might.
Over half of them did. That's huge.
Yeah, big opportunity. Only 28% of the affluent say their advisor has shown any amount of interest in working with their children. And that number was a little bit low to us. So some clear opportunity here for us all to get better with this. And let's talk strategy. How do we do this?
So the first step of this process, what we're going to do is we're actually going to do some profiling, or we're going to prioritize a little bit. And what we'd recommend you do is make a list of your top, let's say 100 clients. Now, if you only have 50 clients, you use 50 clients, right? If you have 200, we recommend about 100 or so. The reason being is that you're actually going to go through and filter some of these out. We don't have time and energy to go after every single next gen opportunity here. So we got to prioritize. So make a list, let's say your top 100 clients. Then beside each of them, write their children's names. List their children's names and their ages. That's pretty much step one. Pretty simple process. Now we're going to start filtering down, and we're going to use 3 specific criterion to do so. So we're going to start scoring, and scoring sounds like kind of a harsh word, doesn't it? But we're going to start prioritizing here based on 3 criterion. One is inheritance potential. Does that child have inheritance potential?
And that's a factor of a couple things. How much money do the parents have?
Exactly.
How many kids are there?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, if there's 10 kids in the family, oh geez, right? But if they're the only child, they may have some good inheritance potential there. Current income. Are they successful themselves? I think that's another thing we want to be looking at, as well as COI potential. So what we're doing here, I mean, could they introduce you to other people? Are they a CPA or attorney that could send you clients? So we're using those specific criteria. And then on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest, you're basically giving them your best score. And this is going to take a little bit of guesstimating by yourself. I mean, it's not an exact science, but we're trying to put some hard numbers behind it here. And then what you're going to have here is you're going to prioritize, right? We might see that, Leah Smith, she's 14 points, right? Well, that's pretty high compared to Joseph Jones here at only 9 points. So it's going to give us, just a track to run on, basically.
Exactly, and a starting point for, if nothing else, that we find that so many of the elite advisors out there every year run a number of, I guess I'd call it initiatives, Kevin,
Yep.
to where this is going to be our year where we are absolutely going to connect with everybody on LinkedIn, or it's our year where we're going to have more functional team communication, or in this case, it's our year to really penetrate the next generation of our clients. And this would be a great, I think it'd be in all fairness, 3 months maybe, Kevin, to really get a good running start on actually implementing this.
I think that's good. And I think what you're making a good point, which is if you said, okay, we need to connect with the next gen more, we need to do that, it's overwhelming, right? Let's say you had 100 clients and you're thinking about all of those children, you almost shut down because there's almost too much to do. And what we're doing is we're using some strategy here to identify really the highest potential opportunities.
Right. It's like saying, I'm going to get in good shape. I should exercise more and eat healthier. It's not real easy to grasp that.
Well, that's pretty vague.
So what we're talking about, 90-day campaign, run with this, profile your top 50 or top 100 clients, put some structure to it, get some team support in pulling this together.
What do you think is a feasible number here? Like, let's say, you go through 100 clients and then children, maybe you're at 200. Let's just estimate. I mean, how many do you think we should be trying to go after here within a 3-month time span?
I think it depends on the team involvement. If you've got an assistant who can come in and help you at least put down the names and ages of all these clients, it's a far more manageable task.
Yeah.
And part of it is how deep do you want to go? Is it that every single child of one of your top 5 clients gets a contact? Or just those who have current high income themselves?
So you're going to have to really figure that on your own depending upon the size of your team. But again, you're focused on the highest priorities first.
And it depends on the age of your client base too. I mean, think about some of you who have a younger client base, their kids are younger and really not a lot of current potential for you. Some of your clients might have kids who are in their 50s or 60s.
That's an interesting idea to think about. There could be another potential criterion that you look at, which is the age of the client. And looking at that and saying, well, you know what, John Smith is in his 90s, right? Or, maybe we should focus there.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So here's why we prioritize a little bit. Your clients have different kinds of kids.
And we're having a little fun here, by the way.
Everybody takes their own path in life, Kevin. It's
not one path that's better than another path.
Well, in some cases. So we got one attorney here and one guy selling stickers at concerts.
Yeah.
Wealthy parents, they're getting older. He's getting more established in his career. The other guy, hey, let's face it, he might be squandering some inheritance. One could connect you with Mary Jones, the accountant, the other with Mary Jane, if you get where we're headed with that. But, we have a little bit of fun with this, but the reality is not all of your clients' kids can benefit from your services.
Exactly.
And you only have so many hours in the day. So let's prioritize a little bit and go after Mr. High Priority here, not thanks to Kevin's roommate here for letting us use this.
That is one, I do not have a roommate, right? I'm married with a child, but yeah, I mean, the hipster guy, I mean, maybe we're not necessarily going after that.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Unless he has maybe a software company, maybe he's in Silicon Valley.
Yeah,
so
it could be.
Maybe we're judging too early.
Well, no, I had a call with an advisor a couple of months ago where he had a meeting with one of his top clients and the client's 2 boys. The boys were in their upper 20s, and the meeting was all about what they would do if they were to inherit a certain amount of money, right? Fairly wealthy client. The advisor said it was the worst meeting he'd ever been a part of. He said the father was just devastated because the guys, much like our guy here on the screen, had every plan for how they used the money that wasn't smart. The toys they were going to buy, the lifestyle they were going to have, they were going to be working less, and it's just like, oh boy. Anyway, scratched him off their list of people that he'd like to do some business with.
Right.
Nevertheless, let's move on and talk about how the actual contact happens, right, Kevin? I mean,
Yeah.
identifying them is one thing. We've got to make contact.
Yeah, we made a list we prioritized them, right? I mean, that was important, kind of the first step of the process. Now we're saying, okay, let's make contact strategically. And the type of contact that you make is going to depend upon the age, big time, right? So we're going to give you like a lot of different options in terms of making contact. And then when we wrap it up today, the whole idea is to match up some of these contact ideas to the appropriate child of your client.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're beginning this process with the end in mind. And the end is we want to be critically involved in our clients' families' finances.
Right.
Right? Whether those kids are at this point in time 10, 35, or 60, we want to be in some way involved, if not managing their money, you at least having conversations with them about family finance.
Exactly. So we're going to talk about having conversations with the parents, some different ways to open up. We'll show you some scripts to open up the dialogue there. Engaging with them on social media, especially LinkedIn. Developing events that attract all family members, hosting family finance discussions, and then starting young. Like Stephen said, they might be 10 years old, 12 years old, and we could get them into the concept of investing.
We were thinking through some of the pieces of language that we've gathered over the years, and here are a few of the good ones we were thinking of. I was thinking about your son, Stephen, the other day. Seems like he's got a lot going on with his family and at work. Very sharp guy, really, well put together.
Yeah, I keep piling that on. Yeah.
I'd love to reach out and connect with him. Anything I should know before I call? Now, this is kind of an assumptive thing.
I like it. I think it's great.
Yeah, and we're not saying that you absolutely have to reach out to the parent first before you ever call any of the children. Sometimes it's appropriate to call into them directly. But in this example, we're calling the parent first for permission and gathering any insights. Hey, it sounds like Kevin's got a lot going on at work. Well, I saw his recent promotion on LinkedIn. That's fantastic. Yeah, I wanted to reach out to him and just catch up. Is there anything I ought to know before I do it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Second one on the list. I know you met with XYZ attorney a while back. I've been meaning to ask you, who will be handling your estate? I'd like to have a discussion with him.
Stephen, you had a client who used to ask a question. We tweaked this one, but his question didn't get to the answer, didn't get to the heart of what he wanted, because he asked something like, what did he say? Which of your children can I help? Need the most help?
And he got all the people that he could really help. Get a job, get off drugs, get through school. And he said it was just not people were glad to have his help, but just it wasn't focused in the right area. So he shifted gears and went to this, who's handling your estate,
right,
which is generally the more responsible and put together child. Last one. I know Johnny's still in school right now, but we'd love to have a conversation with him about the basics of saving and investing. You can never start this process too early.
Yeah, exactly.
So some little language. You all have your own language and spin on it, but here's some ways that we've seen it work well.
Okay, so now let's go a little bit of a different route. Let's talk about how we could use LinkedIn to connect with the NextGen. And one of the easiest ways to do this is by running what we call a connection search. So let's say you're connected to a particular client on LinkedIn. You go to their profile, you click on their number of connections as in step one here. Then you just run a search by their last name. And then you can find a list of, you're probably going to find siblings, other family members, and so forth. But if you know the kids' names already, then you can identify them and ask them to connect. And the benefit of connecting on LinkedIn is it's a business social network, right? So it's not going to be seen as odd or awkward. If you start trying to connect with your client's kids on Facebook, it might be kind of weird. Or you start following them on Instagram, that's kind of creepy, right? They're like, who is this guy? But on LinkedIn, it's totally different network. So we think it's the most appropriate for this type of strategy right now. Now, when it comes to
thinking through this, how many advisors have even connected with their primary clients, much less the kids?
Right.
And what will happen if, let's say, you connect with husband and wife, and you connect with one of the kids? What's LinkedIn going to do? It's going to start suggesting other people that you might know in that client's family. Mm-hmm. You're all of a sudden going to be force-fed people that are linked to them.
Which is a great benefit of doing this. So search by last name, see if you can find some of those children. And now we're going to talk about actually extending the invitation to connect with them via LinkedIn.
Oh, this is good. And think, Kevin, sorry to stop you there, but think if you've got connections to father and son, or mother and daughter, or a number of family members, and they're all connected to one person. Like, think of that as an introduction strategy.
Well, I think
what are the odds if you and your father are both connected to this one person and your brother? You have to know him pretty well, right?
Yeah, you would think so, right? You would definitely think so, and I think it's social proof as well. So like if a bunch of people in your family are connected to that particular advisor, I think it's just proof that oh he probably does a good job. They actually like him. They have good relationships with him. So you're kind of forcing that process a little bit.
So let's think about how the connection request might go. If you've not met the child, you're going to phrase this a little bit differently than if you have met the child at some point. You might reference this as we've never met, but you and your parents and I go way back. We've done a lot of work together over the years. Would love to meet you at some time. In the meantime, let's connect on LinkedIn. Something short and sweet, acknowledging you don't know them, but you know their parents. Good starting point.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's to the point, and you personalize that invitation to connect. And then with this one, let's say you have met the child, you actually know them pretty well. In that case, you're going to really want to personalize this thing. And then what we're going to want to do is try and set it up for a meeting. So we could say, I hope you're doing well in Charlotte. Your parents say you're still running marathons. That's great work. I stumbled in your profile and thought I'd reach out. I'd like to schedule a time where we can get together and loop you in on the family finance discussions. When's good for you? Text or call me. And I love that. Text or call me. It's a lot easier to text. I mean, I know I prefer to text someone. It's just easier to organize things that way.
Yeah. I think it's thinking about who your target market is. And it's no surprise to any of you that when we research millennials and Gen Xers, they're more prone to texting. Not that baby boomers and the silent generation don't text, but it's not something that's been ingrained in them from day one. And it's, so for example, we've got some clients who send out a lot of letters. If you're trying to go NextGen, don't send them a letter.
No.
Right?
Wow.
I mean, most people that are millennials or Gen Xers don't really care for mail. Most of it is either somebody reminding you that you owe them money, it's a bill,
yeah,
or a solicitation.
Not many people are excited to get mail nowadays, unless it's maybe Amazon.
Right. So I digress, but texting is important, and we had some debate yesterday, Kevin, about this language here. We talked about that. I can loop you into our family finance discussions.
Yeah. What does that mean exactly, and how much are we disclosing?
Well, I think it's purposefully provocative in that. If we just said simply, and this was our debate yesterday, if we just said simply, Kevin, I'd like to have a meeting with you and talk about your situation, see if we can help. We're increasing the odds that Kevin's going to have some excuse in his mind that I'm not quite ready for a financial advisor, I don't have a lot of money yet, or I don't know that I want to work with somebody who's not in my area. He's coming up with all this stuff, and he fires back no thanks or just disregards the message.
Mm-hmm.
With this one, it's kind of implying that you're linking them into something that's going on with the parents. Now, we're not saying you sit down in that meeting and you truly loop them into family finance discussions in terms of here's how much money they have, here's how their portfolio is allocated. It's none of that. You just want everything tied together. And, so it's use the language as you see fit, but we thought loop you into our family finance discussions more likely to elicit a response.
I definitely think so. Hey, we should get together. Let's talk about your personal situation.
Right. So in offering LinkedIn introductions, part of the value in LinkedIn is that you're able to help other people. We've talked a lot over the years about helping accountants, let's say, so they help you in return. In this case, help your clients' children, whether they're young college grads or recent college grads, college students or recent college grads, I should say. You're finding out how you can help them through your network. You're finding out what industry they're targeting. You're looking through your network of people that you know in that industry. Most all of you are really well connected. You know somebody that could point them in the right direction. Not necessarily finding them a job, that'd be great, but informational interviews, or at least a sit down.
I have a client in New York who did this strategy and met with his clients. This advisor said, hey, you know what? I know Johnny's graduating soon. Let me take him through my LinkedIn network, see if I can point him in the right direction. I don't know what industry he's trying to get in, but I'd be happy to do it. Johnny thought it was okay, but the parents loved it, right? He said, I'm earning clients for life here. They're not going anywhere. I'm trying to help their son network and find a job. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. It's unfortunate. A lot of the Johnnies of the world aren't getting the value in it. We've interviewed for many positions here over the years, and we typically ask people, how have you used LinkedIn? And you'll hear so many people who are of that generation saying, well, I've been on there, but nobody's, I haven't found a job there yet, or nobody's reached out to me.
Exactly. No one's reached out to me. Yeah.
Not getting it. But business owners, sales professionals. So let's say your clients' kids, quote unquote, are in their 40s or 50s.
Mm-hmm.
They have jobs. They might own businesses. They might be in sales. They're probably in some profession where your professional network could help them. So we want to find out, what are their occupations? What would make a good client for them? What would make a good referral alliance for them? And how can we make some of these connections happen? Knowing the more we give, the more we get. This is if we constantly think, and we see so many of the people who come to us, seeing as we are specialists in marketing, it's what we're well known for. They have a real marketing mindset. It's a compulsion. Marketing, pitch, marketing.
Right.
Not all, right? But we see enough of those
Right.
people to where they typically get the opposite of what they're hunting for. Kind of like the guy in college who's all about, I got to meet girls, I got to meet girls, I got to meet girls. And it's girl repellent for people like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So part of what we're doing here is taking that away. We're not asking the kids for anything in this situation. We're giving the kids whatever they need to help them to the next phase of their career or their life. We're being a giver. And explain this to the client. Mr. Client, I've built a robust network on LinkedIn and have some good connections in the XYZ industry. I'd like to speak with Johnny and see if I can connect them with any one of my networks.
That's simple.
Strong. It's helpful. Make that part of our checklist for when we go through our top 25 or 50. That's a natural first step. I mean, think about the order of this. If the first step is asking them for a meeting, it's one thing. If the first step is saying, how can I help you? Go a long ways with your parents.
Oh, yeah.
Boy,
Absolutely.
strong.
And you have to match it up to the right person, which we'll get into at the end of today's session. Okay. Here's another idea in terms of getting in front of the next gen. And we've just coached, anecdotally, thousands of advisors. We've heard all types of ideas, so we wanted to share some with you. And the idea is to have some fun events that really attract the entire family. Here's some tips with that. One, plan it over the holidays. Thanksgiving is fantastic. Any kind of holidays around, Christmas is great. New Year's is fantastic. Hanukkah, right? When the family gets together, that's when you plan the event. And then you have to make the event a value add in some way. So here's some ideas. A family photo day. Mm-hmm. Everyone's getting together for Thanksgiving. We hired a photographer. They're coming into our office, or they're coming out to the lake here, wherever we live. They're going to take some professional photos. I know you have the whole family together. Bring the dogs. Let's take some good photos. We're happy to. It's our gift to you. You get to meet the next gen. Brilliant idea. Gift wrapping day. We saw this around Christmas time last year. We had a client who he actually, what was the day after? I think it was Black Friday. He actually did it on Black Friday, where everyone was out shopping, right? And he had it set up. He hired 2 people from a local university, paid them hourly to wrap gifts for his clients, and told them to, there's going to have some hors d'oeuvres and some drinks there, and to bring other members of the family. Smart idea. A zoo day, another idea. There's endless ideas here, but the point is to have a fun event that attracts everyone at the right time.
Mm-hmm. It goes along with the strategy of thinking about holiday time when everybody's going to be in their parents' or grandparents' house. Send over a couple of pies. Send over a bunch of flowers. Send something that's going to get them talking about you.
Get some buzz going, right?
Right.
I love it.
Educational events for the children. Let's think through, what can we do to help them with financial literacy? I mean, that's when they're younger. You can do this individually, I suppose, but small groups work even better. Mm-hmm. And part of the sell to the parents is, hey, we know it's never too young to start with financial education. And think about this one in the vein of kids or grandkids. It's never too young to start with educating your kids on finance. We'd love to pull together just a small group of your kids, and let's say they're 12, mm-hmm. and a handful of their good friends. We know how influential their friends can be when it comes to the way they spend money. We want to have them in. We'll get them a little bit of breakfast, and we're going to talk to them about the basics of saving and investing. Now, number one, you're going into this for the right reason. You're helping the kids. The parents love it, as do the parents of the friends. They're thinking, what kind of advisor do you have that is pulling that together?
Exactly.
I haven't, we've done enough of these focus groups to know, I haven't heard from my advisor in 3 months, or, you hear those comments all the time.
And now their kid is going to another advisor's little event to teach them about, that's such a value add.
It's just absolute proof that you are so much different than what they're used to in the world of financial services. Mm-hmm. I remember Matt was brought in via video conference. You remember this?
Yes.
For a group of clients' kids from an advisor who was in the international office of one of the major firms who was focused on Latin America. And they had everybody patched in to talk with Matt about mindset. Matt has an expertise in having the right mindset, being goal-focused. And it was next level thinking. It was impactful for those kids. They had a whole full day. We saw the agenda. It was a beautiful day. And we don't have to overthink this. I mean, a little round table over breakfast is fine. As the kids get older, it's more appropriate to have one-on-one individual discussions, whether it's when they get their first job or when they, in high school even, or whether they get their first job out of college, sitting down with them, talking about some of the basics, saving, investing. What should you be thinking right now at this phase in your life? And the parents very much appreciate it, even though at that point in time, there's not a lot of potential there with somebody of that age. It's the right thing to do and positions you in the center of this client's financial life. As they get older, think about, we talked about engaging NextGen, but let me digress for a moment and talk about their parents. I mean, educational stuff is meant for any extended family member. You could put together a financial organization clinic for parents, or guide to Social Security, or guide to identity theft, or anything like that that'd be appropriate for clients' parents, choosing the right senior living center. We had a guy pull together an event one time that was, it had the whole cycle. Said he had a physician come in to talk about physical fitness, followed by the person from the retirement community, the director of the retirement community, talking about the importance of having the right care, followed by the funeral director. And it was like a weird, it was like, I don't know if I would have planned it that way, but it was a very interesting event and was well attended. People wanted to hear from all those various experts.
Well,
so educational events can work well.
So what about starting them young when it comes to investing? And this came from another advisor that we work with. And what he did, we're talking kids, probably elementary school. And what he would do is talk to the parents about the same thing. It's important to start, learning about investing and saving early on. I would suggest we open up a small account for little Johnny here, right, before Johnny was in college, right? And let's let them learn about investing. And then let's pick some stocks that are companies that they know, that they actually kind of care about. So like Disney or McDonald's or Coca-Cola or Nike. And the parents love the idea. I think in Apple, just ones that they realize that now they own a portion of that company, and they start seeing the value of it, seeing what investing is all about. And when you start them young like that, you're creating an impression that you are that person that they go to for anything related to their finances.
Not to mention, they start to get account statements from you.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
when they first start to have investment money to put away of their own, where do you think it's going to go? Hopefully, the same guy that invited them to the zoo event, or who showed up for Thanksgiving and took pictures, and who they've talked to periodically about some of these things. It's getting them young is great. So thinking about next steps here, none of this is rocket science. You've heard some iteration of all this in the past. Think about, though, the impact that this can have. Unless you're, and let me give this this thought. Unless you're 80 years old right now and you have no succession plan in your business, this is important. Right? I mean, if you have any interest in the next 5, 10, 20 years of your career of engaging the next generation, this kind of stuff needs some structure to it. Not that any of these ideas you heard today were absolutely blow your mind ideas, but put together in total. And we've seen, like I mentioned early on, it pushed some people's career to the next level. And you hear it from them. This is so much easier than going out and finding brand new clients. Why not go through people who already have a great bond together? You've serviced the heck out of them for all these years. Why not make a real effort to actually help the people in their life, and until you help yourself at the same time? So part of the drill here, we walked you through this bit of a spreadsheet, and you can, do we have a copy of this, Kevin, or do we?
I don't think we actually have a copy of this.
Take what you're seeing here. We'll get you the slides and make it your own. I mean, there's 6 or 7 columns here, everything from client name to children's name to ages and all that. Make one of these for yourself, and make sure to include this last column here, which is next step, because all these are a little bit different. We've talked a lot about the age ranges here from 10 years old to 60 years old. The action step in those two is quite different, right?
Exactly.
So one might be providing a LinkedIn introduction. One might be inviting them to family photo day. The other might be having that conversation about starting young with investing. But in some way, shape, or form, starting that dialogue with everybody on, again, your top 50 or top 100 list, depending upon your bandwidth and your team's bandwidth.
Yeah, so we prioritized in the beginning, right? Created a little bit of a filter there. Then we gave you a bunch of different ideas, and now the concept is to match them up based on what's most appropriate for that individual child.
Yeah, and think about this. You roll this out to your team. Get them thinking about how we could have more impact in our clients' families. and get their brainstorming. Think about it with regards to the meetings you're having this week. Might be a little bit of a light week with the 4th just past us. But think about the next 2 weeks of appointments, people you'll be seeing. What situation are their kids in, and how can you start the conversation now with them, right? Because it's not just about this spreadsheet and calling up the kids. It is, how do we start having a dialogue with more people about their extended family?
Yeah.
Every time they come in, should I, so if Kevin comes in for the first time in a while, and I'm starting from scratch with him, hey, did I hear you had a baby recently? No, I want to start out with remembering what the kid's name is, remembering what the grandparents' names are, so I can ask how they're doing. I mean, all that little stuff that takes some preparation is what we're after here, being very, very thoughtful in all this. As Kevin mentioned, we do have time for Q&A at the end, so if you want to ask a question, you're able to use the raise your hand icon on the upper right-hand corner of your screen, or you're able to type in a question and we can field it that way. And happy to stay on the line for as long as needed. And also, if you had any feedback on your ability or inability to see the video today, we're still compiling a list of which firms are able to see this and which are not. So if you want to type in a remark in the question field and let us know were you able to or not able to see the video.
That'd be really helpful for us.
That'd be really, really helpful. So we like doing this, but if only 1% of you can actually see the video, it's not as helpful. So. All right, we're seeing some flow in. Thank you all for your comments there. Here's a question that just popped in, Kevin. So if a client has concerns about confidentiality, let's say that Mr. or Mrs. Big Client doesn't want little Johnny to know that he's got X amount of money coming his way at some point. How do you handle that how do you put the client's mind at ease as you're increasing contact with little Johnny?
Yeah, I mean, I think you obviously you're talking to the clients and you're letting them know that we're going to keep it confidential, but I still think it's important that at this age that he learns about, start some good money habits right now. And you just have to put their mind at ease. That's the biggest thing. And don't let them stray you from the importance of doing this and starting the process.
Because they're all worried about little Johnny comes in.
Well, he knows, whoa, I'm getting all this money.
Jackpot.
I don't need to get a job, right?
Yeah, forget that whole college thing, right?
Right. So that's it. You just need to have a really, just upfront conversation with them that we're not going to, what we can disclose, what we cannot disclose.
Right. And some parents feel more comfortable sharing that than others. Any other thoughts or questions out there? Thank you for all of you chiming in with the video comments. Very, very helpful. And as always, tweet to us, email us, find us on LinkedIn. We are accessible. Call us if you want to.
We will actually respond to you.
Don't send us a letter because we're both both NextGen ourselves.
Are we considered millennials? I think so.
Yeah, I think so. But for all the good reasons, not the bad, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Now we debate about that here internally. Matt says, there's nobody takes issue with being called a baby boomer. Why do you guys bristle at being called millennials? And we say, well, Google the term millennial, Matt. Every article is kind of negative about being, whether it's. So
we're not those types of millennials.
No.
Hopefully not. But there's a lot of good millennials too. I mean,
absolutely. But anyway, hopefully this was helpful for everybody. Stay tuned. We'll do this again sometime. And thank you again for joining us.
Yes, thanks everyone.